Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I want you to do one thing. Imagine the strongest, wealthiest, most unstoppable version of yourself standing right in front of you. Now here's the truth most people never hear. The gap between who you are and who you want to become is not money. It's embody. Today, in the next few minutes, I'm about to give you the exact 3 daily habits that have created more millionaires than any secret, any strategy, or any opportunity you have ever heard of. And I promise you this, if you give me your full attention, your life will not end the same way it began today. Because these habits don't just shape your day, they reshape your destiny. Let's dive in. Success isn't a miracle, it's a daily pattern. This truth alone has the power to rewrite a person's entire life. Most people grow up believing that millionaires are born under some rare constellation of luck, timing, or natural brilliance. They think wealth belongs to those with perfect backgrounds, perfect connections, or perfect opportunities. But the reality is far simpler and far more empowering. Wealth is not an event, it is a repetition. Millionaires don't ascend into success by taking one dramatic leap. They rise through countless small, intentional actions that they repeat day after day. These actions at first look insignificant. Reading for 20 minutes, planning the day with clarity, executing one important task, even when it's uncomfortable, reviewing progress at night. These micro behaviors seem small in isolation, but over time they compound into staggering momentum. Think of them like drops of water carving a canyon. One drop means nothing. 10,000 drops begin to make a mark. 1,000,000 drops reshape the earth itself. That is exactly how daily patterns shape a life. The most liberating part of this concept is that it demolishes every excuse. If success depended on luck, you'd have no control. If it depended on talent, many would be disqualified before they even began. But a daily pattern, a habit, a choice you repeat, anyone can cultivate that. Anyone can start today. And that means millionaire level success is not reserved for the chosen few. It's available to anyone willing to commit to the right routines. When you understand this, something shifts. You stop waiting. You stop hoping. You stop believing that someday will save you. Instead, you begin building the future, one deliberate action at a time. You begin to realize that discipline is not a burden, it's a bridge. A bridge from where you are to where you know you can be. Success becomes less mysterious and more mechanical. You suddenly see that wealthy people aren't superhuman. They're consistent. They're obsessed with small improvements. They choose to win the day instead of dreaming about winning the year. And when you adopt even one of their habits, you start rewiring your identity into someone capable of achieving extraordinary things. Once you internalize that success is a daily pattern, you no longer chase miracles, you create them. Habits create identity, and this is one of the most misunderstood truths in personal transformation. Most people think identity shapes behavior, that who you are determines what you do. But the reality is the opposite. What you do repeatedly becomes who you are. Millionaires aren't born with a wealthy mindset. They develop it through consistent daily actions that reinforce a new identity over time. Every habit is like a vote for the type of person you are becoming. When you read daily, you cast a vote for being someone who values knowledge and growth. When you set goals and pursue them consistently, you cast a vote for being someone who takes control of life instead of reacting to it. When you manage your time with discipline, you cast a vote for being someone who respects their future self. These votes accumulate, shaping your self-image until the habits are no longer things you do. They are expressions of who you believe yourself to be. The powerful part is that identity doesn't shift with intensity. It shifts with consistency. You can't declare yourself disciplined, focused, or ambitious and expect an automatic internal transformation. But make small, repeated decisions that align with those traits, and suddenly you begin to embody them. This is why millionaires think differently. Their habits have conditioned their minds to operate at a higher level. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. They act when others hesitate. They invest when others spend, and they persist when others quit. Those behaviors aren't fueled by luck or genetics. They're fueled by identity built through action. And here's the liberating truth. You can shape your own identity the same way. You are not locked into who you were last year, last month, or even yesterday. Every day, your habits are sculpting a future version of yourself. When you choose habits that align with the identity of a millionaire, clarity, discipline, learning, resilience, you begin to think and act like one. And once your identity shifts, your results follow effortlessly because your behavior no longer requires force. It becomes automatic. That's the real secret. The path to wealth is not about mimicking millionaire tactics, but about adopting millionaire identity. And identity is built brick by brick. Through the habits you choose every single day, small daily actions produce massive, long-term transformations. And this principle is the backbone of every success story that seems impossible from the outside. People often believe extraordinary results come from extraordinary actions, but that's rarely the case. The truth is far more practical. Greatness is built in small, consistent increments that compound over time. Think of a person who invests just a little each day, financially, mentally, emotionally. Those small deposits don't look impressive in the beginning. In fact, they barely look like progress. But over time, those deposits gain interest. They multiply. They expand in ways that the human mind often underestimates. This is the power of compounding, not just in money, but in discipline, knowledge, confidence, skill, and resilience. When you practice a high value habit daily, even if it's only for a few minutes, you reinforce a behavior that strengthens over time. Reading 5 pages a day doesn't feel life-changing in the moment, but over a year, that's several books. Improving one key skill by just 1% a day seems insignificant, but after a year, that's a transformation of over 365%. Making one important decision daily eventually leads to hundreds of decisions that shape an entirely new life trajectory. The challenge is that small actions don't deliver instant gratification. That's why most people abandon them. They get seduced by the idea of dramatic overnight change, not realizing that the real transformation is happening silently, beneath the surface. Millionaires understand this. They respect the process. They celebrate tiny wins. They don't get discouraged by the lack of immediate payoff, because they know each action is a seed planted for future abundance. They know that consistency is the most powerful force in personal growth. And here's where the magic happens. Once momentum kicks in, everything accelerates. What once felt difficult becomes natural. What once felt like discipline becomes identity. And what once seemed far away becomes inevitable. The person who commits to small, intentional daily actions doesn't just improve, they evolve. They open doors that were once hidden, attract opportunities that seemed out of reach, and build a life that others assumed required some secret formula. But there is no secret. The small things done daily are the big things in disguise. 3 specific habits: focus, clarity, disciplined execution, and relentless self-growth are the foundation of millionaire performance, and each of them plays a distinct, transformative role in shaping both mindset and results. Focus, clarity is the ability to wake up knowing exactly what matters, exactly where your energy belongs, and exactly what outcome you are moving toward. Without clarity, people waste years drifting, reacting to life instead of directing it. With clarity, every decision becomes easier, every step becomes intentional, and every action has purpose behind it. Millionaires don't just have goals. They have precise targets, defined priorities, and a clear vision that cuts through distractions. That clarity becomes their internal GPS, guiding their thoughts, time, and energy toward what truly produces progress. But clarity alone isn't enough. Disciplined execution is what transforms intention into reality. This is where most people break. They know what to do, but they don't follow through consistently. Millionaires build discipline as a daily muscle, not an occasional effort. They create routines that make success automatic. They don't negotiate with comfort. They don't wait for motivation. They commit to execution, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. They understand that showing up every day, especially on the days they don't feel like it, is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Discipline is the bridge between clarity and results. Then there's relentless self-growth, the habit that sustains long-term success and protects it from stagnation. The world changes, markets shift, industries evolve, and opportunities move. Millionaires stay ahead because they never stop growing. They learn constantly, invest in new skills, improve their mindset, expand their network, and challenge their limitations. They treat personal growth not as a hobby, but as a necessity. This continuous evolution keeps them adaptable, confident, and capable of recognizing opportunities long before others even notice them. When these 3 habits work together, they form a powerful cycle. Clarity creates focus, discipline creates progress, and self-growth creates expansion. Every day becomes a step toward becoming more effective, more intelligent, and more aligned with long-term success. These habits don't just shape actions, they shape identity. They turn ordinary individuals into high-performing creators of wealth, influence, and impact. And once these habits become part of who you are, millionaire level success becomes not a distant possibility, but a natural outcome of the person you've become. Anyone can become a millionaire by mastering these habits, regardless of background, age, or current circumstances. And this truth is far more empowering than most people realize. We often look at successful individuals and assume they had advantages. We don't. A wealthy upbringing, a perfect environment, a network of influential people, or a lucky break at the right time. But when you study real success stories, you quickly discover that the overwhelming majority started with nothing more than a desire for change and a willingness to commit to a different set of habits. Wealth at its core is not determined by where you begin, but by how consistently you align your daily actions with your long-term vision. This is what makes the millionaire journey so accessible. Habits don't discriminate. They don't care about your income level, your past mistakes, or the obstacles currently in your life. A person working long hours, a student juggling responsibilities, or someone rebuilding their life from scratch, all of them have the same access to these habits. The difference lies in whether they choose them daily. When you adopt habits of clarity, discipline, and growth, you start creating momentum in your life, even if the progress is slow at first. Over time, that momentum becomes a force, and that force begins pulling opportunities toward you, sharpening your thinking and elevating your decisions in ways that directly lead to wealth. The beauty of habits is that they compound. You don't have to transform everything at once. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions. You can begin exactly where you are, with what you have, and start building the internal architecture of a millionaire. One small shift in behavior today can influence the next month, next year, and ultimately the next decade of your life. As the habits strengthen, so does your identity. You start seeing yourself not as someone who wishes for success, but as someone who steadily builds it. And when your identity shifts, your results follow naturally. The truth is simple. Millionaire success isn't exclusive, it's earned. Not through privilege, but through patterns. Not through luck, but through consistency. Anyone who is willing to show up daily, refine their habits, and grow beyond their limitations can write their own wealth story. The door is open to everyone. The question is who will walk through it. In the end, everything comes down to this. Your life is shaped not by luck, not by circumstance, and not by chance, but by the habits you choose to live by every single day. The 3 daily habits of millionaires: clarity, disciplined execution, and relentless self-growth aren't just strategies. They are identity-shaping forces that turn ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. And the greatest power you possess is the ability to start implementing them right now. If you walk away from this with anything, let it be this truth: you are not limited by your past. your environment, or the opinions of others. You are only limited by the habits you tolerate and the standards you accept. When you raise those standards, even slightly, your entire life begins to rise with them. Step by step, action by action, day by day. These habits don't require perfection. They require commitment. They require heart. They require the courage to show up for yourself every morning with intention, to push through resistance, and to outgrow the version of you that settles for less. You don't need to leap into greatness. You need only to begin living it in small, consistent ways. The path to wealth isn't distant. It's daily. And the moment you start embracing these habits, you're no longer waiting for success. You are actively building it. The question now is simple. Will you let this be another inspiring message that fades? Or will this be the moment you decide to create the millionaire within you? Your future is calling. Step into it with clarity, discipline, and unstoppable growth.